On the start of the stroke, don't press your pen on the tablet immediately. What you have to do is gradually press the pen as you do the stroke. I call this the airplane landing. Today, I'm gonna show you two different kinds of line art styles and which one should you choose on your next project. So ready up your drawing gear and let's get started. The first thing we need is our sketch. I have made tutorials in the past about how to draw a male body without needing anatomy and how to add clothing on your character. So if you want to watch that, feel free to click the eye icon on the top of your screen or check the links in the description below. I'll be focusing on digital drawing for this video, but you can absolutely apply this on traditional drawing. I will be discussing traditional drawing eventually, but for now, I don't want to overload your brains with too much information. So now we have our sketch, we have to prep it for inking. So open it on your preferred drawing software, and what you have to do is add a plain color underneath the sketch layer. I suggest you use gray rather than white because white is painful to the eyes. Just saying. Anyway, the next thing you have to do is lower the opacity of the sketch layer so that you can see the line art that you're gonna draw. Lastly, create a new layer above the sketch layer, and this is where we'll put the line art. Now, we're ready to start inking. Alrighty, the first line style I'm gonna teach you is called the single stroke. The meaning is literal. You draw the line in a single swoop. You don't go back and forth on the line. The main characteristic of this is the lines are uniform in width. This style is typically used in animation, and depending on the style, like for example, a typical anime style, the lines are thin like this. But in cartoons, the line can be thick. The important thing is the line width is uniform all throughout. I personally use this line art style when I'm doing digital painting, as I like to give emphasis on colors and shading rather than the lines themselves. It's typical to use in traditional animation so that the animation doesn't look jarring to the eyes. Plus, it's faster to do than the other styles since you only need one stroke on each line. In order to do the single stroke style, set the width of your brush to your preferred thickness. Do some test strokes so you can see what it looks like on the canvas. Then once you're satisfied with the width, just use your sketch as a guide and draw the lines. One line is one stroke. For example, this curvy line is one stroke, and then this line is also one stroke. Now, there will be some lines that are too long for just a single stroke. So just divide it in multiple strokes rather than twisting your hands way too much. The important thing is the strokes are uniform in width. Continue doing this until you finish inking the drawing. Hide the sketch layer and check if there are wonky lines and fix it accordingly. When you're doing the single stroke, it's actually more appealing to make the ends pointy like this. Now, it does depend on your style if you like the lines pointy or rounded. But if you like pointy ends, here's how to do it. On the start of the stroke, don't press your pen on the tablet immediately. What you have to do is gradually press the pen as you do the stroke. I call this the airplane landing. If you see an airplane as they land, they gradually descend until they touch the ground. So we're applying that same principle on the stroke. As you're finishing the stroke, flick your hands at the end to achieve the pointy end. Here's my hand in slow motion to demonstrate this. The next style I'll be showing you is called thick and thin. It's called thick and thin because the line varies on different parts of the drawing. This line style is more effective in comics and cartoons where the lines need to be emphasized more than the colors. It's actually more challenging to use this in traditional animation because you have to replicate the thickness on the line on each frame. I usually thicken the lines on where the darkest part of the shading would fall. For example, I would thicken the lines by the chin, underneath the nose, by the elbows, the crotch area, and this part of the legs. Of course, it depends on what vibe you're after. The thick and thin is preferable if you're adding black shading on your drawing. When I do thick and thin style, I would ink in single stroke first. I use that as a guide where I would thicken up the lines. One thing I've noticed with some artists when they're doing that line style is that they're drawing an outline of the line and filling it with paint bucket. I don't really recommend it because, well, it's a waste of time. And when you're working on a deadline, you have to be as efficient as you can. Just adjust the thickness of the brush and take advantage of the pen pressure and eraser. Here's a couple of drawing in different art styles, applying the types of line art we just discussed. Let me know in the comments below which style you prefer, and feel free to apply them on your next artwork. By the way, these line art styles can be applied on any tools, digital or traditional. You don't even need fancy equipment to pull this off. The important thing in drawing is not the tools. And if you click this video on the right, you'll find out what that important thing is.